Man, I bet you I was weighing 120 pounds. So I know what it is to be hungry. It ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. I was staying in people's garages. I ate when the people in the house ate. If they had something good, so they would slip me out something.
You feel lost if you can't eat or don't have enough money to buy food. That's more harmful than actually being hungry. You should eat 3 meals a day and a snack. And you should know your carbohydrates. But if you don't know those things, yeah, you're going to eat because you're going to be hungry. And if you're hungry, you're not going to eat the right stuff and you get sick.
But we're approaching a point where almost 1 in 5 Georgians are living below the poverty line. So like 19.1% of Georgians are living below the poverty line here. And so,
part of the major risk factors for food insecurity are low levels of employment, lower income folks, individuals who are African American, Hispanic, or Latino experience disproportionately high rates of food insecurity, and so do those who are single, who have never married, or who are widowed.
Mostly, they are low income. They could be the working poor, recently unemployed, laid off, disabled, on fixed incomes, the elderly. We see a variety of folks, but they all have one thing in common, and that is they need what we have to offer, and primarily that's food.
Unfortunately, we have something like 68 consecutive months of higher than average, national average unemployment rate here in the state of Georgia. And what that means is that it's just taking people longer and longer to get back on their feet. As we've seen a wide array of job losses across many sectors here in the state, folks just aren't bouncing back quite as quickly as they normally would outside of a recession period.
Hunger in Georgia today is a critical issue that deserves everyone's attention. I think that seniors who need food deserve our best efforts to get them what they need to be healthy, the right kind of food, not just any food, but the food that they need to be healthy and to thrive.
I hear the economy is improving, but not on our end. We still see a lot of folks that are still unemployed. We have a lot of long-term unemployed people. We used to see people, 3 or 4 times, until they got back on their feet. Now we see people month after month, year after year. People are unemployed for years now, not months. Yes, mostly in the last couple of years, we have seen folks that have never had to reach out to agencies such as ours. Those folks that have been employed and have taken care of themselves just fine, and even on a little bit of unemployment were able to creep along and use up their savings, and then all of a sudden they realized this is an ongoing issue and we cannot meet our needs. So yeah, we are seeing more and more folks that have never ever had to come to an organization seeking assistance before. I remember the day when 25 was a large number to serve. Now, it's nothing if we do 100 in one day.
The recession has hurt a lot of people, and we currently serve about 900,000 families, individuals in the food stamp program. That's almost 1.9 million people that are currently receiving a food stamp benefit. Seniors are particularly hard hit in terms of the fact that most of them are living on a fixed income. And as food prices increase, of course, their income doesn't go as far.
We have seen the need continue to increase even as the economy improves because underemployment and unemployment are driving the demand for food. And that has implications for seniors, because what we're hearing is seniors who have been doing pretty well on their own incomes have family members who've come back into their homes to live with them. And so while they were doing well on their own with the retirement that they planned, all of a sudden there are 4 more people eating out of their household pantries.
We're faced with situations where a spouse may have died prematurely and there are no longer 2 incomes in the house. So that one spouse may be left with a mortgage. They may be left with bills that were not canceled once that spouse passed, and so they're struggling to make ends meet. And I hear where people's benefits are what they expected, but because of the rising cost of food and the living costs, they're just not able to make ends meet and buy food that they need.
Well, I had built up so many bills till, they were getting about ready, I think, to take me and where I live, because I'm a widow woman, I live alone. And I thought, well, the social workers couldn't find no program to help me. So I go over and I said, if I could get a few food stamps, maybe what I spend for groceries, I can start a few of these dollars and I can pay on these bills.
We try to be sensitive to their sensitivities. A lot of people don't like to ask. They've always taken care of themselves, and it's hard when you come to a time where ends don't meet.
A lot of people don't want to talk about family members who are in trouble or the need in their own communities. And we know from this great generation of seniors that a lot of people don't want to ask for help because bootstrapping it and doing it on your own is such an important part of that generation and the legacy of how they built this great country.
Every day, 10,000 people are turning 65 in the United States. And given the recent economic downturn, the recession, the recovery, people lost jobs, they've been unemployed, they've been underemployed. And so people who should be retiring at 65, they don't have essentially the finances that they thought they would when they got to this age. And it particularly detrimentally affected those who are 60 to 64, right? Somebody who lost a job in that age range over the last 5 years took sometimes as often or as much as 24 months to find a new job. And many people gave up, right? They gave up and took early Social Security at 62. And that has long-standing implications because that means for the rest of your life you receive 25% less Social Security than you would have if you had waited until 65 to retire. SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as the Food Stamp Program, and it is essentially a federal program administered at the state level that allows individual clients who are eligible to receive a monthly assistance to help supplement their food budgets and be able to buy the food they need to feed themselves and their families. The program name changed in 2008 with the 2008 Farm Bill, and one of the reasons for the change was to try to make the program a little more accessible. Sort of prior to that change, the food stamp program was actually paper stamps, right? Now the program is administered on a EBT card, so no longer are the days where clients have to pull individual paper stamps out of a booklet and hand them over to the grocery attendant, right? I mean, they're using their EBT card, electronic benefits transfer card, that looks just like a debit card that anybody might use in the grocery store. So there's a little more privacy, a little more anonymity when clients are at the grocery store or clients are at the farmer's market, right? They look just like you or I who's paying for groceries with our credit card, our debit card, right?
The food the doctor want me to eat is more expensive, and sometimes I can't afford it. With SNAP, I'll be able to buy my vegetable, my sweet and lower, diet food that I need.
There are a lot of myths and misunderstandings about the SNAP outreach. Some people think owning your own home disqualifies them. Not true. They may think not having young children in the home disqualifies them. It's not true. They may think working all of their life, earning Social Security disqualifies them, and it's not true. People 50 plus can call, they can write in, they can stop by a site, and we will assist them in applying for SNAP benefits, and it's free.
SNAP allows individuals to change their consumption behaviors, right? Instead of buying, cheap food like cheap noodles, cheap rice, even though it's fulfilling, it's not necessarily meeting all of their daily dietary requirements, right? And SNAP allows them to purchase more healthy foods.
The number of people in Georgia receiving food stamps has greatly increased since 2008 due to the recession and the loss of jobs in Georgia. Yes, Georgia does have a special food stamp program. We refer to it as Senior SNAP here in Georgia. And it is a special program that allows seniors, make it easier for them to be approved for food stamps. It eliminates some of the administrative requirements, such as they no longer have to be interviewed by a caseworker. and they also don't have to provide as much paperwork. Food stamp program does allow, though, for some special deductions and exemptions for seniors to help them qualify. We also allow more deductions for any shelter costs, rent, utilities than the other households would receive. So there are some special allowances that seniors get in the food stamp program that does help them get slightly more benefits. We work very closely with community partners such as AARP to get the word out about food stamps. Due to the increase in people needing assistance, our staff are very busy processing the applications, so we do rely greatly on community partners to help us get the word out.
I went to North Georgia College. I went on a basketball scholarship. I was good in basketball. I was middle class, wasn't worried about nothing, ate every day, did this and did that. And then, boom, I got shot down, and I was a part of them guys who was crying for soup.
Gradually found out, hey, I didn't have enough food to last. I was running out of food. Was actually worried, where the next meal was coming from. Mm-hmm. I'm raising 2 grandkids.
Okay.
I would make sure the kids would get their food. I would cut back on what I ate.
Oh, you have a bad feeling, shaking, nervous. So we need the food. Because I'm a diabetic, I need special food. My doctor want me to eat like vegetables, fruits, if I eat baked chicken, fish.
And when we think about food access and food choice, SNAP allows clients to purchase the food they need for good health.
We rely on AARP. We refer many people to AARP's food stamp outreach number to get information about Senior SNAP, and AARP will actually send their applications to us to process for Senior SNAP. There is no requirement. Their only requirement for Senior SNAP is that they be 60 years or older and live on a fixed income.
If you're not buying your medicine because you want food, or if you're not able to get new glasses because you want to buy food, apply for SNAP. Out in the community, we go to senior communities, we go to libraries, we participate in Spark events, which have other vendors who are reaching out to the 50-plus members of the community. We attended a veteran stand-down, and all of these events, we are representing the AARP Foundation SNAP outreach. Our goal is to assist those members of the community in applying for SNAP benefits. We do paper applications, and we do applications online right there on site, if time permits. A lot of clients call and say, you all were a godsend. The program has supplemented my income. It has allowed me to purchase foods because I'm a diabetic. So the foods that I need to buy, I am able to do that with the SNAP benefits. Anyone can call AARP Foundation, and we'll assist them in applying for SNAP benefits for free.
Okay, and if I can pay all my bills and get the food I need, I'm happy.
The Atlanta Food Bank was one of the first in the country, and certainly the first one in Georgia. We actually started with a group of volunteers from St. Luke's Episcopal Church, where I was the community minister there. And actually back then started with some seniors, some elders in the church who were running the community kitchen, and they became my first volunteers at the Atlanta Food Bank. Food bank's an interesting idea. When we began back in the late 70s, I would say that it was a new idea that nobody understood, but it was an idea whose time had come. There's a lot of food that is unmarketable and wasted in this country, over 30% of what we grow and package. So we go after that food that might be unmarketable for one reason or another. It's oversized or undersized or damaged or out of date, as well as we purchase a lot of food. And we also have the contract for TFAP, for the USDA food that comes into the state of Georgia, and we handle all that. Basically, the model is if you're a community-based organization feeding people, you're a 501c3 or you're a congregation, you could sign up to be a member of the food bank. That would give you access to our full inventory.
Last year, the 7 regional food banks in Georgia distributed more than 90 million pounds of food through their statewide network of 2,300 partner agencies and pantries. So we're one of the biggest statewide networks in the state.
We have folks that are literally your neighbors. They go to school with your children. They are in church with you. You see them even at the grocery store. There are folks that are just trying to get by, but yet they don't have the food they need to nutritionally feed their families. They need some assistance because they're choosing between, I pay my rent, do I get this prescription for my child? And then food sometimes comes at the end.
So basically, life has really been a little struggle for months now. And I done got burned out of house, I got flooded out of house, and I'm still standing, still holding on to God, trying to keep moving on. So it's basically, the deal with me right now.
So it has been important from the very beginning on how we serve people and who we serve. Oftentimes today, one hears a lot about children in need, and 1 out of 4 children in Georgia are food insecure, often don't know where their meals are coming from. We serve families of all shapes and sizes, but increasingly we're seeing senior citizens across the state, often for the first time in their life, need some help.
We are one of 7 food banks across the state of Georgia who make up a network of food banks under the umbrella of the Georgia Food Bank Association. And amongst the 7 of us, we thankfully have covered all of the counties in the state of Georgia. So wherever you are in the state, you are able to access a member of our emergency food network and get the food that you need.
But a lot of seniors are in need. In some of our food bank regions, 44% of the people that they help through their food pantries aren't eligible for any federal services. They are people who have homes and assets, and but someone has lost a job, and they are just needing some help at the end of the month.
I get the food stamps as well as the campus kitchen. They are part of the university where they deliver food to the elderly every other week.
Deliveries are often, the favorite for our volunteers, just because it's really fun to have an opportunity to actually see the people that, we're helping out and get to interact with them. And they have such a different perspective from, the perspective that our students have. It's just a different lifestyle and a different, situation that they're in. So it's giving, people a really new insight. So I think that's been important for our volunteers.
Where it used to be, hunger was something that we could think happened elsewhere. Increasingly, what's happened over the last few years is that hunger has come to rest in our own neighborhoods and are increasingly affecting the folks that look just like us. And they wake up every morning, and their priority is how do we feed our families? How do we get back on our feet? How do we strengthen what's happening here in our home and our community? And so, being part of an organization that is looking to find ways to help people like that achieve those goals.
Well, we know that at the Atlanta Community Food Bank, for example, last year, their volunteer hours were the equivalent of more than 40 full-time employees, hundreds of volunteers a month statewide.
Our job is to engage the community, to educate them in their experience. We use over 1,000 volunteers a month. And to empower people. That is, that they can find voice, and that they in turn, as they get help, they can help others. So that work I don't think ever ends. Hopefully one day we won't need as big a food bank, that we can find better ways to get people fed. But in the meantime is where we live.
It's been interesting to kind of see things from that food in the door area of our work, and then to now figure out, well, how can we make sure that food is getting to people who need it in the most effective and efficient way. over 70% of those partners are completely volunteer. They're showing up, doing the hard work of feeding hungry people in their community, taking care of their neighbors out of just a love and a desire and a care for their fellow man.
But I think the real key is local people helping local people. Neighbors, what we say, neighbors helping neighbors. You know, that's where people are comfortable. They know each other. They're able to oftentimes not only give a bag of groceries or give a meal, but just as when I began back in the 70s, I started one of the first community kitchens for homeless people back then. And what I found was that food was a great tool to engage people. And that if you create an environment where people felt comfortable telling their story, you often find that you have many other needs besides just that bag of groceries. And it's in that engagement, in that encounter, where we share our stories and feel comfortable with each other, that you find other ways to help people. And for our elders who have worked and contributed to create what we have today, that we owe it to them to be food secure, and that they have healthy food, and they have safe places to eat that food, and that they have a place where if we're at the same table we can learn from each other and celebrate with each other and just, I think, give thanks. There is enough. There's enough of everything, and there's certainly enough food in this country to feed everybody.
Everyone in our community is valuable, no matter who they are, no matter what their current situation is, no matter how down on their luck they might be, no matter how high on their luck they might be, but that we all matter, and we all have something to give and to contribute and to bring to our communities. And I think the work at the food bank really depends on that for its success, but it also, I think, has the potential to enhance that, to grow that, to tap into and to raise up people whose voices might typically be marginalized, or maybe they're not thought to be important. Some people who might be on the edges, the periphery of the work that we might be doing, and has the potential to strengthen them in a way that adds their voice to the voice of the community. And that's something we all benefit from.
Eventually, I caught up with the mission, and I went in the mission. And the first day I was there, they had big bowls of soup. And I might have ate 3 or 4 of them bowls of soup, man, because I was hungry. Yeah.
Most of our agencies are run by volunteers, and most of those volunteers are seniors and people retired who have time to help their neighbors in need. So it really comes full circle, both how we began, who we serve, how we strive to serve them. And as we focus on healthier food, because health and nutrition becomes increasingly important when one's health is compromised, that we're really focused on getting fresh food, locally grown food. We're working with farmers all over the state to get food right out of the fields. And then in turn, either doing what we call value-added processing, that is taking food and making meals out of them, or accessing some of our programs. We have a CSFP program, which is actually focused for seniors, and we've been running that for a number of years out of our food bank, and that's where we put a box of food together, nutritionally and sensitively chosen food, the same food in every box, and we distribute those to seniors throughout the metro area and throughout North Georgia. Well, we're doing thousands of boxes a month, so we actually use volunteers to put that food together. It is funded by the public sector, by the FNS and USDA, and it's been a great partnership for us. So we owe a great debt of gratitude to the volunteers, young and old, throughout the community. It's been the one essential, constant element through food banking, is that volunteers have been involved at every step of the way, not only at the food bank. It's mostly volunteers running those community-based organizations. It's usually volunteers helping their neighbors in need. And I think it's through that experience that gives us hope for the future. It gives us a positive outlook. It gives us a sense of purpose in our lives. And I would just encourage anybody who haven't stepped up to volunteer that you're going to get a lot more out of giving than receiving. That it's both something you can share with others, and you will get much more back. We're very grateful for volunteers. We couldn't do without them.
Oh, hey man, I eat every day. You know, I eat every day because I think about the times when I was in that garage, laying down, stomach growling, all night long, man. Hungry.
I always tried to have a garden, and that helped me through the summertime. And then we also have gardens down here, which is a great, great help for us. But now, if I ever get hungry enough, which I hope it don't ever happen, but I don't think it ever worried me, it's about all keeping my bills paid. And then it's been a great help to be able to come to the senior center to where you know that you can get a meal every day. And it's so nice to know that if you need to get to the doctor, that they have a provision to get you to the doctor, you know.
But unfortunately, what's happening now is that folks are staying in that state of need longer and longer. So what traditionally might have been an emergency situation for hunger and food relief has turned into a chronic one, and they've continued to show up month after month after month. And that's driven up our distribution numbers as we respond to that need. It's also stressed the network of emergency food providers as we continue to try to meet the need that continues to show up. So it's a present problem, it's a growing problem, and it's one that's continues to linger and be with us for sure.
You have to do with what you have, and that's not really making you healthy all the time.
AARP Foundation focuses on 4 basic issue areas for vulnerable older adults 50 plus: housing, hunger, income, and isolation. Well, AARP Foundation wanted to focus on those 4 issue areas because they're so interconnected, right? You know, somebody may be experiencing hunger, but they're not generally just experiencing a hunger problem. They also probably have an income problem, right? Somebody may be experiencing isolation, and because of their isolation, they're also experiencing hunger. They might be homebound, they can't get out. It happens in a vacuum, right? Clients' lives have all of these different, the vulnerable 50 plus population that we're looking to serve, they're experiencing multiple sort of issues or challenges in these 4 buckets.
One of the things that you often hear people talk about in a corporate or business environment is, hey, what's the return on investment for the work that we're doing? How can we measure how effective our dollars are in terms of the outcomes that we're getting from it? And that's an easy case to make for hunger, to be quite honest to you. I don't know that all of us in the hunger relief environment have made a good case for that or been as eloquent on that as we can be. But when you start feeding a child at an early age, and you can see dramatic increases in the performance of that child in school, when all of a sudden they're able to stay awake and they're able to learn, and when all of a sudden their test scores start going up, when your seniors don't have to access emergency care as often because the foods that they're getting are helping them be healthy and well and stay resilient in the face of the things that they're dealing with. All those connections tie into a very strong return on investment for the work that we're doing.
It's really interesting because that's the most rewarding thing, is like gaining these perspectives from other people that I would have no idea about if all I'm doing is simply taking some food to them. You know, it's such a simple thing when you think about it. You're pretty much a delivery driver, but it's so much more enriching than that, and so much to learn just from interacting with somebody with something as simple as a meal. You know, I kind of came to a realization that, like, this is just my perspective, that, like, you know, life is not about me, and what I can do to strengthen others in turn strengthen myself.
If I can pay all my bills and get the food I need, I'm happy. Do not be afraid to ask for your benefits, because AARP Foundation will help you.
It has been a tremendous help to me. It just took a load off of my brains.